You're watching the very first Blue Jays game to air on TSN. Special thanks to Major League Baseball and the Toronto Blue Jays, proud partners since day one.
Saturday, September 1st is a big day for a lot of us. On behalf of the Toronto Blue Jays, I'd like to say it's an honor to be playing in the first event ever on Sports Network. There's no question that we look forward to a good game for you, the viewer, and for us too. We have a job to do today. The Tigers are still in front, and the Twins are leading the West Division. So sit back and enjoy the Blue Jays versus the Twins on TSN, the Sports Network. We're still trying to catch those Detroit Tigers, and I think we can.
What a pleasure it is to be involved in a little bit of history today. The first live telecast on TSN, the Sports Network. And what a game we've got lined up. The Minnesota Twins, the Toronto Blue Jays from Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. And it's a pleasure to welcome Bobby Maddock, my color commentator, former manager of the Blue Jays. Billy Gardner, the manager of the Minnesota Twins, still feels that Toronto is a better ball club than Detroit.
Well, it's nice, and I think the Blue Jays have earned that respect from other clubs, and especially Minnesota, because they're the leaders of the Western Division, and along with Kansas City and California, I think they're going to be in until the end of the race.
Do you think the Blue Jays can catch Detroit, Bobby?
I think there's a definite possibility, and especially since they play them 6 more games, but they're going to have to beat them in the majority of games when they play them.
All right, today, right-hander Mike Smithson goes for Minnesota, Dennis Lamb for the Toronto Blue Jays, so stay with us. It's a beautiful 75 degrees here at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. 7-mile-an-hour winds. What an afternoon for baseball. We've got a couple of good teams here today. The Minnesota Twins, the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have won 9 out of 10 from Minnesota. What a season they have had against the Twins, and we alluded to the fact off the top of the telecast that Billy Gardner, the manager for the Twins, still feels that Toronto has a better ball club than Detroit. And it looks like we've got in the neighborhood of 25,000 fans, and there's your starting pitcher, Dennis Lamb, with a record 6 wins, 7 losses, 9 saves, and we'll have a look at the lineup that he'll be facing today. Leading it off for Minnesota, the center fielder, Kirby Puckett, hitting .306, an exciting ball player. Mickey Hatcher playing in left field, hitting .299. Kent Herbig at .317 at first base. He's got a chance to be the MVP this year. Randy Bush hitting at .223. He's the designated hitter. Tom Bernansky in right field. He leads the club in home runs, hitting .263. He could be the best athlete on the team. Tim Tuffle at second base at .271. Ron Washington is playing third base today, hitting .273, as manager Billy Gardner has given Gary Gaetti a rest. And Tim Laudner is catching. He's hitting .201. And Houston Jimenez, the shortstop, hitting a robust .205. Bobby Maddock, it should be quite a game.
It should. And if Dennis Lamb keeps his fastball down, it sinks occasionally. I think he'll be tougher than he's been in the past. He definitely has to keep his fastball down.
Lamp has a record 6 wins, 7 losses. He started his first game last Monday against the Twins. He went 5 innings in that ball game, and he was the winning pitcher.
This is not a new role for Dennis Lamp. He started when he was with the Cubs. In fact, that's when they started using him in relief after he'd been taken out of so many games as a starter. They thought that he was just a 3 or 4 or 5 inning pitcher.
Last year with the Chicago White Sox, he was 7-7 with 15 saves. Do you know that 14 of those saves came after the All-Star break? I think fans have expected a lot from Dennis Lamp. There's been a big burden on his shoulders this year, and this might be the role here that he's best suited for, Bobby.
Well, that's right. He's not a Rich Gossage or a suitor at St. Louis. He's just Dennis Lamp, and he's done a little better job than people have given him credit for.
On the other hand, the Minnesota Twins, only 2 games ahead of Kansas City, 2.5 against California, so they've got quite a race going in that West Division. And look at the crowd here, roughly 25,000. And leading things off for the Minnesota Twins will be their exciting center fielder, Kirby Puckett. Puckett hitting .306.
Puckett's been a surprise, and it's an old cliche, but they say this is the guy that makes the Twins go.
They say he's got great instinct. Now that's fouled down the first base side into the stands.
Puckett's built like a fire plug out there. He's stocky built guy. Reminds you a little of Madlock when he first came up.
Tom Kelly, the third base coach for Minnesota, told me that Puckett has been absolutely sensational in center field. He can really go get him. That's a strike. 0-2. Lamp quickly jumps ahead of Puckett.
That was a good pitch on the outside. Fastball sank a little. Now I wonder if he'll come inside on him. We'll have to wait and see, but I think that would be the pitch. Make it bad inside.
Blow it away.
Couldn't be. That was quite a bit of difference, wasn't it?
Well, you had to know that he was going to waste a pitch. It was a question, Bobby, whether it was going to be inside or outside. It's 1-2 the count. And there's a line drive. It into right center. And Bell's got it. There's one away. You look at the replay and notice how Puckett goes with that pitch to right field. The pitch was on the outside corner of the plate.
Anytime you can come up out of the minor leagues and hit .306 on September 1st, you're a pretty good hitter.
That'll bring up Mickey Hatcher, .299. And that's a ball. Hatcher leads the Twins with doubles with 29. He's a bit of a free spirit. There's a shot back to Lamp. Oh, a nice fielding play by Dennis Lamp. There's 2 away.
Dennis Lamp looks more relaxed and a little more poised than I've seen him in the few games that I've come in. Here's the ball right hit back to him. It was a sinker ball, looked like it was inside. Dennis Lamp fielded. And incidentally, Dennis Lamp is not too good a fielder. He hurts himself in the fielding department.
You'd never know it on that play. Kent Hrbek hitting .317. There's a strike on the outside corner.
Kent Hrbek is putting on weight, and it concerns manager Billy Gardner, and he's about 230 now, and they want him to play at 215.
There's a shot foul. 0-2 the count. Hrbek leads the Twins in the RBI department with 89. He's got 23 home runs.
This kid always could hit, Fergie. When he came up a couple of years ago, he was a good hitter. You used to try to pitch him inside. I don't know if he's changed or not.
That pitch is outside, 1-2. They say that Hrbek has moved his hands away from his body to try to get a little more power, Bob. One and two the count. That's inside, gets by Ernie Whitt. Evens up the count at 2-2.
That was the pitch he wanted to get over to, get Hrbek to go after. The other one was a waste pitch outside, but I think they tried to pitch him inside.
You notice how that ball just went off the end of Witt's glove. Misses on the outside and runs the count full. Upshot first, Garcia at second, Griffin at short.
He's pitching carefully to this fella because he can hurt you with one swing. He's got quite a few home runs.
Mullenix at third. And that's pop foul back into the stands. Boy, what a day for baseball, Bob.
Isn't it beautiful? This is an ideal day, Fergie. Tell you, I talked to Jim Lemon, the batting coach of Minnesota, and he thinks Hrbek's bat slows down when he puts weight on, but still he's hitting good. I don't know how good they want him.
There's a shot down to Garcia, and it gets by him, goes out into right field for a base hit. So with 2 away, Herbich's on at first, and that'll bring up Randy Bush. Garcia almost made a tremendous play on that ball.
That was a turf base hit, I think. Here's the ball. He goes after it and tries to backhand it, but it was through by him before he could get down. Like I started to say, Fergie, that's a turf base hit on the grass. Garcia had probably been in front of the ball, at least backhanded it.
Randy Bush hitting .223. Lamp over to Upshaw, holds Herbich on.
I don't think you have much concern about Herbich stealing the base.
He has stole 1 base this season. And he's been caught once. That pitch is outside. 1-0 the count. Bush has 9 home runs, 35 RBIs. He's a line drive hitter with power. There's a strike. Lamp has been doing a fine job of hitting that outside corner of the plate, Bob.
He sure has with his sinker. The ball is running away from the left-hand hitter, and that's what he wants.
1-1. There's another strike. Let's have another look at this pitch.
Now here's the ball. Looks to me like it's a changeup, low outside, and Bush's power was spent, and he checked his swing, and it still was a strike.
Herbich's on at first. 1-2 the count to Randy Bush. And there's a ground ball to Garcia, over to Upshaw for the easy out. So there's 3 away, and after half an inning, there's no score. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jay Baseball on TSN. You're looking at the tallest player in the major leagues. Right-hander Mike Smithson. He's 6'8". And let's have a look at the lineup that he'll be facing. Leading it off, Damaso Garcia hitting .292. Dave Collins could be the MVP on the Blue Jays, along with pitcher Dave Stieb hitting .310. Lloyd Mosby in center field at .280. Willie Upshaw, .294. George Bell in right field. Rance Mullenix, the hottest hitter in the Blue Jays right now, hitting .331. Willie Aikens, the DH. Catching Ernie Whitt, hitting .250. And the shortstop today is Alfredo Griffin at .227. Mike Smithson with a record of 13-10. He's been a consistent pitcher for Minnesota. Would you say he's a sinker ball pitcher, Bob?
A sinker slider, Fergie, and he has a style similar to our Doyle Alexander, in that when he comes through with that right foot, he plants it down solid. A lot of pitchers will fall off to the right, to the first base side of the diamond, but he doesn't. He's ready to field any ball hit back through the box.
Leading it off for the Toronto Blue Jays will be second baseman Damaso Garcia. Garcia hitting .292. He's looking for a 200-hit season. Right now he's got 162. And he's got a chance at 200.
He sure has, because he's aggressive and he swings. Very seldom walks, takes a base on balls. He's always swinging at some pitch up there.
He got his 14th walk of the season in last night's 7-0 win by the Blue Jays over Minnesota. And what a job Dave Stieb did in that one. There's a line drive up the middle for a base hit on the first pitch of the ball game for the Blue Jays. Well, that's a nice way to start it off, Bob.
It sure is. Now here comes to the plate. Here's the ball. It's a ball right over the middle of the plate, right down the middle, and Garcia just lines it back to center field.
So Dave Collins, who's playing left field, batting in the number 2 position, leads the club in stolen bases with 48 is up. Collins hitting .310. He's a switch hitter.
This is who some of the Blue Jays say makes the club go for them. Dave Collins.
He lays one down, but it's foul.
Garcia's on first, and he's always a threat to run. He gave a fake start then, but that's a good idea to do that.
You look at the top 3 hitters in the Blue Jay lineup, Garcia, Collins, and Mosby. Between them, they have 118 stolen bases.
That's real harassment to the pitcher.
Smithson back. The ball gets away from Herbig, and Garcia goes down to second.
That ball should never have been dropped by Herbig. He must have taken his eye off of it as he went to tag Garcia. I think here's the replay of it. I think you'll see him take his eye off of it. Nope, he just missed it. When he went down to tag Garcia, it went out of his glove. He slapped at it.
They'll charge the error to first baseman Kent Herbig.
Now here's a situation, Fergie, when Collins should hit the ball to the right side of the diamond. That would get Garcia over to third very easily.
For Herbig, that's his 13th error of the season. That evens up the count at 1-1 on Dave Collins. So Garcia's at second, nobody out. We're in the bottom half of the first inning. There's no score in the ball game. Smithson steps off the rubber.
Collins is not what you'd call a definite pull hitter. That is, hit the ball to the right side of the field now, but he'll probably be trying that.
He lays that butt down. They're going to let it go to see if it goes foul. And look at this. Right down the line. It rolls out. Foul. How about that?
That's probably as big thrill as the fans will get all day. They let that ball roll for about 5 minutes, I believe, Fergie.
Well, you had to know they were going to let it roll, Bob. Let's have another look at it.
There it is. Now, both of them are watching the third base from Washington, the pitcher Smithson. It goes right down to a little beyond the turf. Now you can see it going out a little, and Washington grabs it right away before it hits a pebble and gets back fair. Which, if that had been the case, had been a fair ball.
You've got Washington at third, Jimenez at short, Tuffle at second, and Herbig at first. Catching is Laudner. In the outfield, Hatcher, Puckett, and Bernansky. So the count on Dave Collins, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Nobody out. That pitch is inside. Evens it up at 2-2. Garcia's on at second. His 163rd hit for Damaso Garcia. That's fouled back. You know, an interesting note on Garcia, Bobby. He's only struck out 39 times, and that was his 556th plate appearance. And for a guy that's a free swinger the way he is, I think that's a pretty good statistic.
That is, and the thing about it, he doesn't let a pitcher get ahead of him. He starts swinging when he leaves the dugout.
There's a line drive into center field. Puckett is going to run it down, and he makes a fine over-the-head catch. And Garcia moves on to third base.
That was a real good play. It looked to me like he was timing that ball, and then it got away from him. Here you'll see it. It's a fastball up and right over the middle of the plate, and Collins got good wood on it. Puckett is going easily after it. Now he sees it's going to be over his head a little, and he just reaches out and makes a one-hand catch.
So Garcia advances to third, and that'll bring up Lloyd Moseby. Moseby hitting .280, leads the club in RBIs with 81. 17 home runs. There's a strike, a fastball. Cuts the heart of the plate.
Fergie, Billy Gardner's got his infield back, giving the Blue Jays a run if the ball's on the ground, and that's the way it should be in the first inning.
That evens it up, 1-1. Two balls and a strike to Lloyd Moseby.
Lloyd really wants to get this runner in from third because he's been in a little bit of a slump lately, and he goes for those RBIs.
That's fouled back. Moseby with the Blue Jays last year hit .315. He really blossomed with 18 homers and 81 RBIs. His average is down, but his RBI and home run production is up this year.
He still hasn't reached his potential. It might be a year or two before he really reaches his potential.
He's always been one of your favorites.
He sure has.
That ball was high, runs the count full.
Well, this 3-2 pitch is maybe where we can see if Lloyd has become a disciplined hitter. He used to chase a lot of bad pitches.
Here's a line drive at Herbig and a nice play. Oh, that was a wicked shot.
That ball was hit as hard as anybody could hit a ball. I believe it looked to me like a slider on the inside of the plate, and he turned on it.
So there's 2 away. Garcia on at third. Watch Herbig here.
Herbig made a good play, made up for that slap error and letting Garcia advance to second.
Herbig hardly had to move on the play. Willie Upshaw comes to bat. Willie hitting .294, 19 home runs, 79 RBIs. That pitch is away outside. So with 2 away, Garcia on at third. Blue Jays still have a chance to get on the scoreboard.
Well, here's one of their better production hitters. He bats in a lot of runs, Willie does.
The outfield pretty well straight away, Bob.
I've always said that Willie Upshaw is one of my favorite human beings. He's worked hard to get where he is, and nobody deserves it more than Willie.
27 years old. And he fouls that one back out of play. Upshaw last year hit .306 with 27 home runs, became the first Blue Jay ever in the history of the ball club to drive in 100 runs or more. He ended up with 104. And he gets him. So that ends the first inning. No score. The Blue Jays and the Minnesota Twins as you're watching Labatt's Blue Jay Baseball on TSN. And we're back at Exhibition Stadium. The third base coach is Tom Kelly. He's 34 years old. He's managed for 5 years in the Twins organization. And Big Jim Lemon at first base. Of course, Jim, 6'5". He's the last American leaguer to have 6 RBIs in 1 inning. That was in '59, a game against Boston. A lifetime .262 hitter. Jimenez will lead things off for the Minnesota Twins in the top of the 3rd inning. He's hitting just .205, but you saw the way he's playing defensively. He grabbed that line drive off the bat of Rance Mullenix.
Looked like some scout got him out of Woodbine, Fergie.
Jimenez is 5'7". He comes from a family of 16. He started playing baseball in the Mexican League at the age of 16. Oh, 0-2. Lamp has been ahead of the hitters all afternoon so far.
That's what's made him effective. If he stays ahead of those hitters, and he gets him in the hole, they're liable to chase a bad slider or a bad sinker.
Jimenez, 26 years old. Chris Spire comes off the injured list September the 6th. They tell me he'll be the shortstop on this club. Lamp gets Jimenez for his 4th strikeout of the ball game. He struck out the side in the 2nd.
There it is. You'll see it as a pitch on the outside, and again that sinker. It really was a well-located pitch, and it'd take a real good hitter to hit that ball.
He looks so sharp today, Dennis Lamp. Kirby Puckett. Puckett lined out to the right fielder George Bell back in the 1st inning. He's 0 for 1.
There's that sinker again. Now they're coming out to look at the ball. His sinker is really good, and he's keeping it down consistently.
That's home plate umpire Tim McClellan. Remember him from the Pine Tar incident at Yankee Stadium? The way that ball's moving, I don't blame him for checking it. Puckett tries to lay one down, but he fouls it off. I had a scout the other day tell me, Bobby, there's about 5 players that he'd pay to go see play, and they're all rookies. One of them, of course, Tony Fernandez of the Blue Jays, Alvin Davis, Gary Pettis, Roger Clemens, and this man right here, Kirby Puckett. It's really an exciting young player.
Well, they say he was the glue that put this Minnesota machine together, if you call it a machine.
There's a shot up the middle. Alfredo, a nice play over the upside, and they get it.
Here it is. It's a sinker out over the plate, and Alfredo hit through the middle, and Alfredo goes over. It's a big hop, and he catches it one hand and throws Puckett out, who slid head first into first. It's a little dangerous play, but Puckett's a good hustler.
Mickey Hatcher, the hitter. There's a shot foul. Collins will pick it up and left.
Again, Lamp got out in front of him with the strike. It's been his pattern, and if he stays with that consistent, he's going to be tough.
Back up the middle, and this one will go for a base hit for Mickey Hatcher. Hatcher, in his first at bat in the first inning, grounded out to Dennis Lamp, who made a fine play.
Here's the pitch. It's down again. It's a sinker, and he hits the ball back through the middle, and Lamp couldn't grab it, and it went by Alfredo Griffith. As I said before, Lamp is not, he won't win any Golden Glove awards for fielding, but that was a tough play.
So there's 2 away. Mickey Hatcher is on at first base. And there's a shot into right field by Kent Herbig. Hatcher will move around to third base. He's going to try and score. Rick, he misses it with a tag. Oh, that's a nice hustling play by Mickey Hatcher. Third base coach Tom Kelly waved him on.
Anybody who's followed Mickey Hatcher knows that he'll do that. He's a real gamer, and he pulls the unexpected all the time. He's a hustler, and you have to be alert when he's on the base. Here's the pitch now. It's a ground ball by Garcia. You'll notice the Bell takes a long time getting rid of this ball. Now he decides to throw it.
He almost went down there, Bobby. He did slip.
And Hatcher slides in under a high relay by Griffith.
So Randy Bush, the hitter for Minnesota, he's 0 for 1. The Twins are leading 1-0. Herbig is on at first base. There's 2 away.
That's 2 balls Herbig is hitting the same place right by Garcia.
The Twins have 3 base hits of Dennis Lamp. Herbig has 2 of them. And Mickey Hatcher, of course, has the other. 1-0 the count to Randy Bush. Bush hitting .222. And he fouls that one off.
I was a little bit surprised to see Randy Bush in the lineup. Minnesota got Pat Putman from Seattle. I think he only played about 3 games, but they've lost, and I guess Billy Gardner wanted to shake the lineup a little. Pat hasn't had many hits when he was in the lineup for Minnesota.
Well, he struck out 3 times last night against Dave Stieb. Stieb got everybody in the lineup last night except Mickey Hatcher. And then when Andre David came in to play left field in the 7th inning for Hatcher, he had 2 plate appearances, and he didn't strike out David either.
One of the Twins coaches said the best game in town would be Stieb pitching against the Blue Jays in an inter-squad game. Stieb had great stuff last night.
2-1, the count to Randy Bush. Herbig on at first, 2 away. There's an easy one hit down to Upshaw first. He's got it for the 3rd out of the inning. So, after 2.5 innings of play, the Minnesota Twins lead the Toronto Blue Jays 1-0. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jay Baseball on TSN. The Blue Jay player of the game will receive Travel Vision by Panasonic. It's so compact it fits into your pocket bag or briefcase. Travel Vision by Panasonic, just slightly ahead of our time. Lead things off is Willie Upshaw in the bottom of the 4th inning. Upshaw takes the ball outside. The official score has changed that error charged to Alfredo Griffin to a base hit back in the 2nd inning for Ron Washington. So our apologies to Alfredo. We didn't want to give him his 21st error of the season in the first place. There's a line drive hit out into right field, down into the corner. It's a foul ball. Right on the line it looked like, and yes sirree, here comes Bobby Cox. We'll have another look at that, Bobby Maddock, and see if we can tell whether it was fair or foul.
From where I'm sitting, I thought it's fair. I thought it hit right on the line.
It looked like it to me, too, but we'll have a look at the replay. Mike Riley is the umpire that called that on the first baseline. Cox is right out there, and from our vantage point, it did look like it hit on the line.
I think Cox has legitimate beef.
Here it is here. Let's see if we can pick it up.
I doubt if we can see where it hits, but it sure was a close call. It probably could have gone either way.
Well, we have to say this, that Mike Riley is certainly closer to the play than we are, Bobby. But from our vantage point, it did look like it hit on the line. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes to Upshaw as Bobby Cox slowly makes his way back into the dugout. And there's part of the CNE Air Show. I wish I knew what some of those airplanes were. Probably the only one I'll recognize is the Concorde when it comes over. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Willie Upshaw. That pitch is high. Runs the count full. The Twins have put 4 hits on the board. The Blue Jays have 2 off Smithson.
Smithson hasn't used his changeup as often as I've seen him use it before. He may go to it later on in the game.
And that's high, and Upshaw draws the walk.
It's always a bad way to start an inning for the pitcher when he walks the first hitter to face him.
That was a fastball that tailed off, and it was high. So George Bell steps into the batter's box. Bell is 0 for 1. He grounded out to Ron Washington back in the 2nd inning. Upshaw on at first. Willie has 7 stolen bases. He's been caught 4 times. Minnesota leading 1-0. We're in the 4th inning. That pitch was inside, and Bell fouls it off.
George Bell was given an opportunity to play regular this year, and he certainly has responded well. He's leading the club in home runs. He's about 300 over all year. Played good outfield, has a good arm, and he has come through, and he's going to become one of the bright stars in the American League in the future.
He's tied for the club lead in doubles, too, with 31 with Garcia. 0-1.
He is strong. When you see him in his civvies, you don't think he's as strong as he is, but he has back and back muscles that makes him able to hit the ball out of the park.
Oh, there's a wicked line drive into the stands, and hopefully nobody gets hurt on that. Let's have a look at the American League East standings, and there you see the job that the Blue Jays have to do. They're 9.5 behind Detroit. Detroit losing last night 7-6 to Oakland in 13 innings. Baltimore 14 back, and the Yankees 15 back. Boston 15.5. There's another foul ball. So the count remains the same, 0-2 to George Bell. And the Minnesota Twins leading Kansas City by 2, California by 2.5, Chicago by 6.5. As they say, the White Sox are still not out of it. A throw over, and Upshaw's back. Upshaw drew a walk to lead things off here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Minnesota leading 1-0. And Bell throws his bat at that one, and he gets a Texas League single. Upshaw's going to third base, and Puckett throws the ball back in.
Bell throws his bat. It's a pitch on the outside. Bell just reaches, hits a little fly ball that falls in safe, but Willie Upshaw was running all the way. It showed good base running sense. He knew the ball was going to be in there. A lot of guys would have stopped to see if it was going to be in there. He didn't. He continued on to third base. Now the Twins are in trouble.
I'll say they are. The Jays have runners at first and third, and the hottest hitter in the ball club, Rance Mulliniks, steps to the plate. He's 0 for 1. And there's a shot into right field, a base hit. That'll score Upshaw. And Bell stays at second. So for Rance Mulliniks, that is RBI number 35.
Here it is now. It's a ball right over the middle of the plate. And you could see the way Rance Mulliniks swung that ball. He was trying to pull through that hole, which he was successful in doing. And it scored Willie Upshaw from third, and Bell stopped at second.
That'll bring up the designated hitter, Willie Aikens, with runners on first and second. Mulliniks at first, George Bell at second. Remember, nobody is out. So the Jays have really got something going here. The one thing they have to watch for is Aikens not hitting into a double play. That pitch is away inside. And that's the one thing about Smithson. He's not afraid to move hitters back off the plate. He has hit 8 batters this season. 1-0 the count. There's a changeup. And misses for a ball.
He just missed with that pitch. Aikens had his power well spent, and I'm glad he didn't swing at it. I don't think he got much wood on it.
2-0, the count to Willie Aikens. And there's a changeup, and he throws that one for a strike.
That is one of his better pitches, and I was surprised that he didn't use it more earlier. He probably was saving it for the later part of the game, or when he got in trouble. And he's in trouble now.
There's a foul ball back into the stands. As we told you off the top of the telecast, what a way to spend an afternoon at the old ballpark. Notice Kent Hrbek here at first base. He loses that ball altogether. He has no idea where it is, and it was a good thing it was foul, as Aikens fouls off another pitch. 2-2, the count to Willie Aikens. You know, it's hard to believe. Last year, all the problems that Aikens had, he still had a tremendous season at the plate. He had 302, 23 homers, 72 RBIs. And he pops that one up, and that's out of play as well. And when you compare those stats to this year, you can see how dismal a season it has been for Willie. 204, 8 home runs, 20 RBIs. He's had 197 plate appearances.
That was another changeup that Smithson threw to Aikens, and he was out in front with his weight, and luckily he fouled it into the stands.
The Twins and the Jays both have 4 base hits. The Twins have made 1 error.
I'd imagine he's going to try to sneak a fastball by Aikens, hoping to sneak it by him.
There's a changeup again on the inside. Smithson didn't like that call. He thought he had him.
Now Bobby Cox has some options. Is he going to start the runners? He's got Bell, who can run well. Mulliniks is not very fast. and Akins strikes out quite a bit. I'd be surprised, I think, if Bobby starts him.
The count is full to Willie Akins. Mullenix at first, George Bell at second. Nobody out. Bottom of the fourth, the score is tied at 1.
They're going.
And Akins hits the ball down to Tuffle at second. He has nowhere else to go but first.
By starting the runners, Cox was able to stay out of a double play. Here's the pitch. It looks like a changeup out of way, and Akins tried to pull the ball. Hit a little ground ball, not hard enough to get a double play, especially when the runners were starting.
That ball tailed away from Akins. So that'll bring up the catcher, Ernie Witt, with Bell on at third and Mullenix at second. And there's one away. They're going to walk Ernie to get to Alfredo, and hopefully they can get the double play. Ernie Witt has put some pretty good numbers on the board this year, and he's been hot lately. 12 home runs, 37 RBIs. He's walked 36 times, 12 doubles and a triple.
Looks like we're going to have a pinch hitter for Alfredo Griffin.
So Ernie Witt will go down to first base. The bases are loaded. As we look at third base, you've got George Bell. On at second is Rance Mullenix. And over at first now is Ernie Witt. We'll have a pinch hitter for shortstop Alfredo Griffin as Rick Leach will come to bat.
With Fernandez on the bench and can be put in at shortstop, Bobby Cox is going to take a gamble, hopes he can break this game kind of wide open right here.
Leach is hitting .257, no home runs, 7 RBIs. But boy, he's come up with some big base hits this season for the Blue Jays. There's manager Bobby Cox looking on. Nice position to be in with the bases loaded and only one away, and the score tied at 1. Of course, that's a luxury that Bobby Cox has with the Jays this season by having 2 outstanding shortstops, and Alfredo Griffin and Tony Fernandez. So Leach will step in against the big right-hander Mike Smithson. In the on-deck circle, second baseman Damaso Garcia. A fastball for a strike.
Leach started the season at Syracuse, a AAA affiliate, and he was hitting pretty good. I think he was hitting about .320 when he was brought up by the parent Blue Jays.
Leach is 1 for 10 against the Minnesota Twins this season. Bases loaded. That evens up the count at 1-1.
Leach is a great competitor. I suppose he gets part of that from one time he played quarterback for the University of Michigan when they had those good football teams back there. But he is a good competitor.
He's only issued 45 walks in 204 innings. And Leach fouls that one back out of play.
Leach is not extra fast, so if a ground ball is hit and hit decently, they can double him.
The only batter that Smithson has walked in this ball game is Willie Upshaw, and naturally it came back to haunt him because Upshaw scored.
I imagine Smith's going to try to come inside on Ricky Leach, and especially up if he can.
Of course, the intentional walks don't count. Let's win on at first with an intentional walk, and Smithson gets Leach a strikeout. For Mike Smithson, that's his 3rd strikeout of the ball game. And we'll go to the top of the order now. There's the pitch.
It's a high pitch, high fastball that tailed away a little bit, and Leach, of course, swung right through it.
Garcia singled his first time up, then hit into a fielder's choice. He's 1 for 2. We'll set the stage for you again. The game is tied at 1. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. The bases loaded, 2 away, and Damaso Garcia, the batter. The first pitch was a strike.
Something I hadn't seen Damo do hardly at all is intensely take the first pitch.
Way inside, evens up the count. This has been a well-pitched ball game so far. McClellan calls time. Garcia steps out of the box. Now he's set. The infield back.
I think he wants the ball out away from Damaso.
Two balls and a strike to Damaso Garcia. Garcia stole his 40th base back in the 3rd, but he was stranded.
Here's the pitch. It's inside. Looks like a breaking ball or a changeup inside. He lines a shot right back through the box, and both runners scored. Man from second, man from third, with no trouble at all.
Well, if we go back to the first inning, Bob, that's what Garcia did as well off Smithson. He lined one right up the middle, and Smithson went down.
It wasn't a good pitch. It was a bad pitch. The ball was inside where Garcia could handle it. You have to pitch Damo if you can, low and away.
So Ernie Witt is out at second. Garcia at first. There's still 2 away. And the Blue Jays leading on 5 base hits, 3-1. They're still in the bottom of the 4th. Dave Collins. Laudner, the catcher. Witt not taking much of a lead at second. There's another line drive up the middle. Can Puckett get to it? No. That'll score Ernie Witt. As he comes around, he will not slide. He's in there standing up. And the Blue Jays go ahead 4-1.
Here's the pitch. It's a fastball, like a little below the belt, and Collins kind of hit it toward the end of the bat. He didn't hit it real good, but he hit it plenty good enough to score 1 run for us.
So the Blue Jays leading 4-1 as catcher Tim Laudner goes out. Now the bullpen is getting up. Get a little action out there for Minnesota. Dave Collins is on at first. Garcia's at third. There's still 2 away. And Lloyd Mosby steps into the batter's box. Mosby is 0 for 2. He lined out to Herbeck in the first inning, and he struck out in the 3rd. And there goes Collins. There's no throw to second as Laudner fakes a throw down to 3rd base. So for Dave Collins, that's stolen base number 49.
Well, when you get Garcia, Collins, and Mosby on those bases, and 2 of them at the same time, the pitcher and catcher's got to really be alert because they can run. They can steal bases.
That's 120 steals for the top of the Blue Jay order. There's the Minnesota bullpen. And there's the blue wave that has really caught on all around Major League Baseball. It seems like they're doing it in every stadium. I think Toronto fans picked it up from the Detroit fans. Oh, there's a drive into right field. If it stays fair, it's out of here. It does. What a blast by Lloyd Mosby.
Boy, he really hit that ball. That was a changeup that he waited on and really turned on, and he hit it downtown. That was one of the longest balls I've seen hit at Exhibition Stadium since I've been coming here.
I got to agree with that. Oh, did he hit that one?
I had a conversation with Cito Gassner, the batting coach, and he said if he can get Lloyd to turn on the ball more, he'd hit 30, 35 home runs. Cito certainly knew what he was talking about.
The Blue Jays have batted around here in the fourth inning as they lead Minnesota 7-1. For Lloyd Moseby, his 18th home run of the season, and he now has 84 RBIs. And that's Al Williams in the Minnesota bullpen working. And Upshaw hits that off the end of the bat down to Washington, and they get him. So, the Blue Jays really went to town here in the bottom of the fourth inning as they put 7 runs on the board to take a 7-1 lead over the Minnesota Twins. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jay Baseball on TSN. Well, there's our friend, Blue Jay Birdie. As we're back at Exhibition Stadium, and he really is a crowd pleaser. I think the fans really like him. He adds a lot to it. The Boston Red Sox will visit Exhibition Stadium for a 3-game series beginning Monday night, September the 17th. The series will continue Tuesday and wind up Wednesday. There are plenty of seats available in all price ranges. And there's a hit into left field for Mickey Hatcher as he leads things off here in the top of the 6th inning. For Hatcher, his second base hit. He's 2 for 3.
Here it is. The ball is hit right in the hole, right by Fernandez. And like I said before, Mickey Hatcher's a gamer. He's right around 300. You got to watch him. He's a wild man on the bases.
He's difficult to strike out as well. Kent Hrbek, the batter. Hrbek is 2 for 2. There's a line shot out into left field. Collins going back. He can't get to it. It's off the wall. Moseby picks it up. And that could be the longest single you'll ever see. Oh, boy. Hatcher obviously thought that Collins was going to get to the ball.
This is a fastball on the outside of the plate. And Hrbek took it to left center. And Hatcher, for some reason or other, being 6 runs behind, played it safe, because even if he scores, there's still 5 runs behind him. Hatcher did the right thing if he wasn't quite sure the ball was going to be in there.
He should have at least had third base, Bob. So, the Minnesota Twins threatening a bit of a comeback here. Bush, the batter, hits it down to Upshaw off his glove. The bases are loaded, and nobody is out. So that'll be an error charge to Willie Upshaw.
Now here's the ball. You watch. I think Willie takes his eye off that ball, and it's certainly a force out at second and perhaps a double play. Fernandez may have gotten the guy at first, but that was a costly error. Certainly Upshaw tried, but could cost, especially with this guy hitting.
There's action in the Blue Jays bullpen. There's Roy Lee Jackson. Bases loaded, nobody out. And the batter is Tom Bernansky. He hits it foul down the third baseline. Bernansky is 0 for 2. He struck out in the second, grounded out to Mullenix back in the 4th inning. But he leads this club in home runs with 28 and 71 RBIs. RBI leader, of course, is Hrbek with 89.
Now this is the situation where Lamp really wants to try to keep his sinker down and get a ground ball, hoping it's hit at somebody where they can come up with a double play and get out of this situation with 1 run.
Lamp has 5 strikeouts. The Twins have 6 base hits off him. There's the pitch. Oh, a good curveball. 0-2 the count. There you see at third base is Mickey Hatcher. At second is Kent Hrbek, and on at first is Randy Bush. And the batter is Tom Bernansky. The pitcher, Dennis Lamp. We're in the top of the 6th inning. The Blue Jays leading 7-1. Nobody out. Another curveball. He gets him for strikeout number 6. Oh, that was a big one, Bobby Maddock.
It sure was, and the ball is in. It's a breaking ball, but it's low inside. Brunansky chases it and missed it.
Talk about the bottom falling out of a pitch. That was Dennis Lamp's sinker ball at its best. Tim Tuffle, the batter now. One away. Tuffle is 0 for 2, struck out in the second, grounded out to Mullenix in the fourth. High and inside, ball 1.
Hopefully that was a purpose pitch, because Lamp certainly doesn't want to keep up in that area with 3 men on.
Roy Lee Jackson still in the bullpen warming up, and he should be, because the bases are still loaded. 1 away. Pitch was low, ball 2.
Tuffle laid off of that pitch. It was a tough pitch to lay off of. It was almost a strike. Here it is again. You'll see it curve right at the last minute, and Witt caught the ball down. Didn't help Lamp at all the way he caught that pitch, but umpire McClellan called it a ball.
Ball 3, so Lamp is really getting himself into trouble now.
When if he starts to be fairly consistent, balls up high, I don't think Bobby will stay with him very long, because that's a sure sign a pitcher's getting tired when a sinker ball pitcher starts throwing high.
The Jays have won 9 out of 10 against Minnesota this year. They've also defeated Baltimore 9 times. They have a record of 9-4. That pitch is outside, ball 4, and that'll walk in Mickey Hatcher from third base.
Here comes Bobby now. He's looking down the bullpen, and if Roy Lee Jackson is ready, I believe that Bobby will pull Dennis. Dennis has pitched one heck of a game, though.
Well, you've got to remember that Lamp, this is only his second start. He did go 5 innings in Minnesota, but that's been his longest outing of the season.
Well, he's going to leave him in.
Well, he has pitched very well with the exception of this inning. And look at that monster. As the air show continues here down at the Canadian National Exhibition.
Batting for the third baseman, Washington, number 21, Andre David.
Anywhere between 25 and 30,000 here to watch this ball game.
Here's a pinch hitter coming up for Washington. He's obviously a left-hand pinch hitter.
The Milwaukee Brewers will visit Exhibition Stadium for a 4-game series to wind up the '84 home season, beginning Thursday, September the 20th at 7:35. The series will continue Friday and then on Saturday, and it'll be TBS Radio Day. The series and the home season will wind up Sunday afternoon, September the 23rd, at the big Panasonic Fan Appreciation Day. That's David, the batter, Andre David, who saw some action in last night's ball game. Tuffle on at first. The walk. He's hitting for Ron Washington. Andre David hitting .268. There's one away. He fouls that one off, so quickly Lamp jumps ahead of David at 0-2. So you look at the situation out there at third base. You've got Big Kent Herbig, Randy Bush at second, and Tuffle on at first. The base is loaded, one away. The count to Andre David, 0-2. That pitch way outside, almost gets by Ernie Witt. The Blue Jays leading Minnesota 7-2. A nice play by catcher Ernie Witt.
There it is. It's a pitch way outside. It keeps breaking away from Ernie. It hits in the dirt on a short hop, and Ernie picks it up very nicely. Keeps runners from scoring and other runners from advancing.
Well, if Minnesota can put a couple of base hits on the board in this inning, they'll be right back in the ball game. The Jays leading 7-2, still in the top of the 6th. And that's fouled off, so the count remains the same. 1 ball, 2 strikes, as Roy Lee Jackson continues to warm up in the Blue Jay bullpen. Jackson has had a pretty good season.
Lamp is ahead of David now.
I'm just going to say 7 wins for Roy Lee Jackson, 6 losses. And Roy Lee has 8 saves, which is second highest on the ball club. The man you see out there, Dennis Lamp, has 9. That pitch is outside. Evens up the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Dennis seems like he's in the point now where he either throws a strike or misses way big. And I'm sure that he's got to retire this hitter to stay in the ball game.
Detroit Tigers have 27 games left, 25 against Eastern Division teams. The Blue Jays have 26 remaining against the East. And that's hit foul. The Twins have 6 hits on the board, 2 runs. The Blue Jays, 7 runs, 7 hits. But Minnesota threatening here in the top of the 6th. They've already scored 1 run. Lamp taking his time on the mound.
I think this is a big pitch coming up, a 2-2 pitch. He doesn't want to go down to 3-2.
David only has 1 home run and 5 RBIs. Lamp steps off the mound.
He wasn't satisfied with the call, and he stepped off the mound. He wants the signals to start over again.
Now he toes the rubber. Now David steps out. Little cat and mouse game. The home plate umpire, Tim McClellan, as you see the line score. Blue Jays, 7 runs, 7 hits, 1 error. Minnesota, 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. All right, here's the pitch to David. Swung on and missed. And for Dennis Lamp, that's his 7th strikeout. And that'll bring up the catcher, Tim
Here's the
Lager.
pitch. It's right over the middle, but the ball drops down quite a bit right there, and David swung over it.
And it looks like we'll have a pitch hitter.
Batting for the catcher, Tim Lager, number 26, Darrell Brown.
Darrell Brown will be hitting for Tim Launder.
It's quite obvious that was a big out for Dennis, and especially a strikeout. Now if he can get a ground ball at somebody or a fly ball, he's out of the inning with 1 run, and that's good work.
Brown is a switch hitter. He's hitting .273 with a home run and 15 RBIs, 9 doubles, and 3 triples. So there's 2 away. The base is still loaded. We're in the top of the 6th inning. That pitch misses just outside. And in case you're wondering what the noise is in the background, the CNE Air Show continues, as it will all afternoon. That pitch is high as Brown almost went after it. 2-0 the count.
He had a notion, but checked his swing right at the last minute. Now Dennis is behind. He's got to come in there almost with this pitch. He's got to get a strike on this pitch, or he's in pretty big trouble.
2 base hits, an error and a walk. Has Dennis Lamp in trouble. There's a strike. 2 balls and a strike to Darrell Brown. Brown is 29 years old, and that pitch just misses inside. 3-1 the count. Brown hit .272 for the Twins last season.
Billy Gardner had Brown taking a 2-0 pitch because he's obviously not a home run hitter. It's going to be interesting to see if he has him taking 3-1.
Brown was voted the Rookie of the Year for Minnesota last year. There's a strike. So that runs the count full. There's 2 away, and you have to know the runners will be moving. And there's manager Billy Gardner, the man they call Slick. Boy, can he shoot pool. And can he ever play gin rummy? And what a job of managing he's doing. And that's hit down. Ken Fernandez get to it. It's a base hit out in the left field. That'll score Herbig and Randy Bush. And that might be all she wrote for Dennis Lamp. I'm sure it will be.
That ball looked like it was almost a ball, and he just reached out there and punched his bat and hit through right by Fernandez.
That's exactly what he did do, Bob.
And it was plenty good enough to score 2 runs and exit Dennis Lamp, and in comes Roy Lee Jackson.
So here's the situation. You've got Tuffle out at second, Darrell Brown at first. They're still 2 away, and Minnesota now put a couple of runs on the board, and the Blue Jays are leading 7-4. We're still in the top of the 6th inning, and Roy Lee just saunters on in.
That's a tremendous ovation to Dennis Lamp, and I'm sure he's going to be very happy about it.
So Roy Lee Jackson, as you look at the crowd at Exhibition Stadium, is 7-6 with a 3.60 earned run average and 8 saves. Bobby, what does he do best?
Roy Lee has good stuff, and I'm only speaking of the best, pardon me, on occasions. Other occasions it's so-so. This is a hard guy to figure out for me, and I think for the brass of the Blue Jays. At times he looks real good, and other times just so-so. He's got a good fastball, and he's got a good changeup and a pretty good slider. He's pitching real well this year, but in the past he hadn't been the pitcher we thought he would be.
Well, it looks like we'll have a pinch hitter for shortstop Houston Jimenez, and that's Pat Putnam. Putnam struck out 3 times against Dave Stieb last night. So Putnam will come in.
Getting back to Roy Lee, he's done good work, and he probably is on his way to having a good season again. He had a good season last year, too.
Putnam's only hitting 190 with a couple of home runs and 17 RBIs. Of course, the Minnesota Twins picked him up from Seattle.
This is what a situation a manager on a club that's down by 3 runs likes to get in. A fellow at the plate being the tying run who can hit the ball out of the ballpark for you if he gets a hold of it.
There's a fastball for a strike.
That ball looked like Roy Lee had something on it.
That's his best pitch, a fastball. But of course, the secret to success out of that bullpen is being able to throw strikes. And that's fouled off. So quickly, Jackson is 0-2 on Pat Putnam.
Roy Lee has been brilliant on occasions, and he's got good enough stuff to be a real good pitcher, and is a good pitcher.
You notice how he always walks to the back of the mound? Picks up the rosin. Now he's set. Tuffle at second. Brown at first, 2 away. And there's a shot hit right at Fernandez to end the inning. So, after 5.5 innings of play, the Toronto Blue Jays continue to lead Minnesota 7-4. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jay Baseball on TSN. Back at Exhibition Stadium in... Okay, we're back at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. There's B.J. Birdie with the Blue Jays leading the Minnesota Twins 7-4. The Sports Network has live exclusive coverage of 9 Canada Cup games featuring 5 of the world's top teams. The Soviets, the Czechs, Team USA, the Swedes, and the West Germans. Canada Cup live on TSN. And on the Sports Network, the only news is sports news on Sports Desk. A twice nightly wrap of news, commentary, and analysis. So leading things off will be Dave Collins, the bottom of the 7th inning. Collins is 1 for 3. He singled back in the 4th, stole second base for his 49th steal of the season, and he scored a run. He tries to lay one down. He misses. 0-1 the count. What a valuable asset Dave Collins has been to the Toronto Blue Jays this year, Bobby.
He sure has. He's a hustler and a ball gamer all the way.
And that's fouled off. Williams quickly runs the count to 0-2.
He has played better defensively than people have given him credit for.
I thought he really played well defensively last year, too. There's a shot hit down to Herbig at first base, over to Williams, and they get Collins. So there's one away in the bottom half of the 7th inning. And that'll bring up center fielder Lloyd Moseby.
Here it is now. There's a ground ball that hit, and you can see Herbig start toward first and toss it underhand to Al Williams, who covered. That play is practiced so much in spring training instructional league that if it's ever messed up, it's an exception.
Lloyd was just given a nice hand by the 27,000 fans here today. Of course, he cracked out that 3-run homer back in the 4th. And, Bobby, we've got to talk about that home run again.
Well, I think it's one of the longest I've seen hit here. There probably have been others, but that's one of the longest.
2-0 the count to Moseby. Al Williams on the mound for the Minnesota Twins. As the fans have the blue wave going again. 3-0 to Moseby. Moseby hit .315 last year. There's a strike. Let's have another look at his home run. Watch this blast right down.
There it is. It looks like a ball that's about belt high, and he turned on it real well, and it really went.
As we're back to the live action now, Moseby draws a walk to lead things off. And that'll bring up Willie Upshaw. Here's the pitch. It's low, ball 4 to Lloyd Moseby. So with one away, Moseby on at first, Willie Upshaw the batter. Upshaw's 0 for 2, struck out back in the 1st, walked in the 4th, and grounded out.
As with Garcia and Collins, when they get on, Moseby's always a threat to steal.
Here's the pitch, and it's hit into right field for a base hit, and Moseby will hold up at second.
He sure hit that ball into the hole, and that's one thing about first baseman holding a runner on. It cuts down the territory that he's able to cover. Has the ball a little bit on the outside of the plate, and Willie pulled it just right, and Moseby had to hold up a little, or he would have been sitting on third base. He had to let the ball get through.
The catcher, Dave Engel, went out to talk to Al Williams. With one away and Upshaw at first, Moseby at second, the batter is George Bell. It's been a pretty noisy day here. If it isn't the blue wave going, it's the air show. There's a strike, catches the outside corner.
That's a pretty good curveball. It fooled George, and George might have gone up there looking first pitch fastball.
Bell is 1 for 3. He singled back in the 4th inning and scored.
They're coming inside with it, I think.
And Bell, it's a long fly ball down the line. It hits the... Does it
Just
hit the
a little bit
flagpole?
foul.
It was foul. I thought it hit the flagpole, Bobby.
If it had, it'd been a home run.
That's right.
But Al Clark called it foul right away. They were trying to come inside. He made it a little bit too good, and Bell hit the ball pretty hard.
Let's have another look at it. You'll see how close it was. It wasn't really that close at all, was it? Oh, it hits Bell.
He hit him. Bell is contemplating what to do.
There, Bobby Cox comes out of the dugout. He knows that Bell can be pretty explosive at times.
It was obvious on the pitch before that he was trying to come inside to him. And George shouldn't get upset by it, because if he's going to be in the big leagues, they're going to pitch him inside at times. Here it is now. You can see it. Williams lets the ball go. It keeps bearing in on him, and Bell is froze. It hits him on the elbow, it looked like, and he might have a sore elbow tomorrow, but I think his feelings are hurt more than anything.
Manager Billy Gardner is out, and Williams is gone. He signaled to the bullpen for a left-hander. And let's find out who he's going to bring in. So the bases are loaded. You've got Mosby on at third, Upshaw at second, and George Bell at first base. And Filson is the pitcher. And there goes Al Williams.
I suppose Bell looked out at Williams and thought Williams might be just a little bit large for me to handle today. And he let him go. But in years past, Bell would have exploded and went by. He's more disciplined.
So what's going to happen now, Bobby? Barfield will hit for Mullinex, and Orange will go in to play third base. Isn't that something? You take a .330 hitter out of the lineup, but that's the way Bobby Cox has managed all season long, the platoon system.
That's exactly right, and he has had great success with it, and he's going to continue on, and I think it's a fine thing that he has these players that he can do it with.
Pete Filson is the pitcher on the mound. He's 6-4 with 1 save and a 3.91 earned run average. Filson has struck out 54 in 90 1/3 innings pitched.
I'm sure the viewers know that if Barfield gets a hold of one, he can put a charge in it. As long as they don't try to get too cute with him, he's always a threat.
There's a nice shot of the Blue Wave here at Exhibition Stadium as the fans get right into it. Have a little fun here on a sunny afternoon as Jesse Barfield steps into the batter's box. The bases are loaded. The Blue Jays leading Minnesota 7-4. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. As you look at third base, you'll see Lloyd Mosby. Willie Upshaw out at second base. And then George Bell hit by that pitch thrown by Williams on at first. Now Dave Engel will go out to talk with Filson. They get their sign straight. Pete Filson was 4-1 last season with the Twins, and he had 1 save. And Barfield hits it out into right field. Bernansky coming on. Will he get to it? He doesn't get to it. That'll score Mosby from third. Upshaw will hold at third base. So that was a ball that Bernansky was playing deep in right field and could not get to it. Tuffle went out at second, and Herbig went out from first base. But as you can see here in the replay, none of the 3 could reach it.
Thing about that ball, Bernansky should have slid or dove after that ball, especially with 3 men on and their club behind 3 runs. He made I thought, a feeble effort. I thought he should have dove or slid after that ball and given it a much better try.
So out of the dugout comes Big Cliff Johnson. The bases are still loaded, and out of the opposing dugout the old meat salesman himself, manager Billy Gardner.
Now we'll see what moves Bobby. He's already, Cliff Johnson's already been announced. Gardner waited. Now he's bringing in a right-hander. Is Bobby going to counteract with the left-hand hitter?
I wouldn't think so. I think he'll leave Johnson in. But the reason I call Billy Gardner the old meat salesman, that's what he does in the off-season. You know that, Bob? And he has never given up that job. He said being a manager is not the greatest security in the world, and that's why I like a job in the off-season. He said, give me a hotel room with air conditioning and cable television. What more in life does a man need? So Rick Lysander is the pitcher for the Minnesota Twins, and there's B.J. Birdie entertaining the fans with the air show overhead here at CNE. Lysander is a record of 3-2 with 3 saves, but Cliff Johnson will stay in the ball game. The base is still loaded, and the Blue Jays now leading 8-4. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. The Blue Jays are now 20 games over 500, and they did that on their 9th try last night as Dave Stieb shut out the Twins 7-0 on a 4-hitter and 10 strikeouts. And you ask any one of the Minnesota Twins, not only will they tell you that they think the Blue Jays have a better ball club than the Detroit Tigers, but they'll also tell you that they feel that Dave Stieb is the best pitcher in the American League and maybe all of baseball. So we look at third base. We've got Willie Upshaw at third, George Bell on at second, Jesse Barfield at first, and the batter is Cliff Johnson. And the pitcher is Rick Lysander.
Cliff is capable of hitting a ball out of here against the right or left-hand pitching. When he played against right-hand and left-hand pitching, he had a very good average and home run production.
Here's the pitch by Lysander, a line drive, hit out into left field. It'll go for extra bases. That'll score Upshaw. That'll score Bell. And Barfield comes around to score, and Cliff Johnson has 3 RBIs.
Here's a pitch Cliff Johnson really got a hold of. He hit a line shot in left field up against the wall. David misplayed it a little, allowing Barfield and the other 2 runners ahead of him to score from first base. 3 runs came in on that very good clutch hit.
You notice how David fell down there in left field. So Johnson has a double. He's at second base, and he cleared the bases. It's 11-4, the Blue Jays leading Minnesota. Ernie Whitt the batter.
The Blue Jays have scored all the runs in 2 innings, 7 in the 4th and or the 5th and 4 in the 7th here. That's when you have a good club, when you can explode like that.
Ernie Whitt had a base hit back in the 6th inning. A single. He's 1 for 2. He was intentionally walked back in the 4th, and he popped up to Tuffle in the 3rd inning. Ernie stepping out of the batter's box, and there's Cliff Johnson. For Cliff Johnson, he's putting some good numbers on the board for the Blue Jays. He now has 52 RBIs. 13 home runs, and that double was his 20th double of the season. 0-2, the count on catcher Ernie Whitt. 11-4, the Blue Jays leading the Minnesota Twins. And that's fouled back out of play.
Ball's a little bit outside, and he went with it and fouled it in there. Ernie would certainly like to pick this additional run up. That certainly give Roy Lee Jackson plenty of room to operate.
The Blue Jays scored 18 victories in the month of August. That is a club record for August. There's Mickey Hatcher playing way off the bag at third. Gaetti at short. Tuffle at second. Herbig at first. That pitch is outside. Ernie Whitt hitting .252, 12 home runs, 37 RBIs.
You can see he's keeping the ball down on Ernie, and like I have said before, Ernie likes that ball from Bell on up. Although he hit a curveball last time up good, it was a low pitch.
There's only one away. That pitch is outside, evens up the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. You know, for you baseball fans that are following the Blue Jays in Detroit, the Tigers have 27 games left, 25 against the East, 6 with Baltimore, 6 with Toronto, 6 with Milwaukee, and 7 with the Yankees. And that's fouled back out of play.
That Detroit Blue Jays series will be like a World Series almost.
If the Blue Jays could ever win the first 3 of that series, boy, we'll have some fun.
This town will be jumping, I'll tell you that.
Exhibition Stadium in Toronto.
Toronto, of course, has to keep winning regardless of what Detroit does, and they will. They got a good club, and getting the pitching straightened out. Lamp has helped considerably since he joined the starting rotation.
That pitch is inside, runs the count full on Ernie Whitt. Boston leading Cleveland 4-1. That's after 6 innings of play. There's one away. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. The Blue Jays leading Minnesota 11-4. And that's fouled back out of play as well.
There was quite a play by that fan. Reached out a bare hand and just picked it off like Mosby catches that ball over his head with a glove on.
The win this afternoon will move the Blue Jays to within 9 of Detroit. If the Jays hold on, there's no reason to think that they shouldn't. They have 78 victories, 57 losses. There's a line drive up the middle for a base hit. That'll score Cliff Johnson. And Puckett makes a nice play in center field to hold Ernie Whitt to a single.
Here's the pitch. It is a fastball up and over the plate a little, and Ernie really lined that. That's 2 balls he's hit real hard. Looks to me like he's using his hands hitting more than he used to.
That'll bring up the shortstop, Tony Fernandez. Alfredo Griffin started the game at short, and Alfredo doubled in the 3rd and struck out in the 4th. Then Fernandez came in, and he flied out to the left fielder in the 6th inning. Fernandez takes a strike. Tony hitting .288, 3 home runs, 17 RBIs, and he hits a line drive. It's foul.
Those Blue Jay bats are alive today.
I'll say they are. The Jays have tattooed 12 hits on the board, and Minnesota 8.
There's been some balls hit real hard.
Well, of course, the hardest hit of all was Lloyd Mosby's 3-run homer back in the 4th inning. Fernandez fouls another pitch off.
That was a bad.
I'll tell you, the fans here at Exhibition Stadium have the best seat in the house. Not only can they watch a ball game, but they can see the air show as well. And their Blue Jay tickets gets them into the grounds, free admission. There's a shot down to Herbig. He'll go to second for 1, back to first. They don't get the double play, and Fernandez will go down to second base. So Fernandez hits into a fielder's choice.
Here's the ball. Herbeck got down on one knee, then he got up and threw the ball to Gaetti, who usually plays third base. His throw was low, and Lysander slapped at it and hit him on the heel of the glove and bounced over the dugout into the stands, and Fernandez was awarded second base.
We go to the top of the order, and that'll bring up second baseman Damaso Garcia. Damo is 2 for 4. A single in the first and a single in the fourth. There's a strike. For Garcia, those 2 hits give him a total of 164 on the season.
Garcia is quite an unorthodox hitter. He pulls away with that left foot, but he keeps his upper part of his body in there, and as a result, he's able to hit. It looks awkward at times.
Garcia hits that ball out to David in left, and that ends the inning. For the Toronto Blue Jays, leading the Minnesota Twins 12-4. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jay Baseball on TSN. We're back at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. The Blue Jays leading 12-4. Roy Lee Jackson still on the mound. Dennis Lamp started, and providing the Blue Jays hold on to this lead, and I'm sure they will, Dennis Lamp will pick up his 7th win of the season. Of course, he won in Minnesota last week for number 6, and again here today. Leading it off for the Minnesota Twins will be shortstop Gary Gaetti. This will be his first plate appearance as Tim McClellan walks halfway out to the mound and throws Roy Lee Jackson a new ball. And we'll be passing on the Labatt's Blue Players of the Game for you at the end of this telecast. We've got some fine performances here today, mostly by the Blue Jays. There's a shot out into center field, and Mosby will come in a few strides. He's got it.
Even though you have this big lead, 8-run lead, it's always nice to get that leading hitter out of there.
The center fielder, number 34.
Kind of cuts down the chances of a big inning.
So we're in the top of the 9th inning. Kirby Puckett, the batter, as the air show continues here at the CNE. Fastball misses outside. Kirby Puckett certainly added a lot of oomph to that Minnesota lineup.
He certainly has, and while they're in a terrific slump right now, they're too good a club. They've gone this long, and they're in first place September 1st. They're too good a club to wilt.
And there's a shot out into right field. Barfield going back to the wall. He jumps. He's got it.
Barfield made a nice play, but he did something I don't know why these outfielders do. They look down to see if the ground is still there. Then they have to pick the ball up again. You can see this ball right down the middle. He insides outs it, gets good wood on it. If we can see Barfield, no, you can't see him, but he made a nice backhand play. But he did look down on the ground just as he hit that warning track, and he has to look back up and get the ball again.
So there's 2 away, and Hatcher fouls off that first pitch from Roy Lee Jackson. Top of the 9th inning, 12-4, Blue Jays leading. So you can tack another win in the win column for Toronto. That would be number 78. They are now 9 games behind Detroit. And that's hit out to Mosby. It looks like it'll end the ball game. And it does, as the Blue Jays defeat the Minnesota Twins 12-4. We'll be back with all the totals in just a moment. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jay Baseball on TSN. We're back at Exhibition Stadium, where the Toronto Blue Jays have defeated the Minnesota Twins 12-4. And what a pleasure it is to have on our telecast with us today, of course, our color commentator and former manager of the Blue Jays, Bobby Maddock. But we also have catcher Ernie Whitt with us, and Ernie picked up a couple of base hits for us today. And Ernie, it's nice to win a game the easy way, as you really didn't have too many problems with the Minnesota Twins today.
Well, Fergie, it was nice to have an easy game. We've been with those one-run ball games, and Dennis Lamb, we got an outstanding game out of him, about 5 or 6 innings, which we really needed, and then Roy Lee came in and put the fire out.
Ernie, do you think Dennis Lamp had better stuff today than he's had most of the season?
Well, he has. You know, Bobby, I think the reason that he has the good stuff is that he's gone to more breaking balls. He's throwing his changeup and he's throwing his slider more. In relief, I think he has that thought in his mind where he has to come in with a sinker and slider.
Well, that's good, and he was ahead of the hitters, too, most of the time.
You're right. He did try to get that first strike on the hitters, and it was just a super job on Dennis's part, and then Roy Lee came in and finished it off for us.
Only 9 games back in Detroit. Have you got a chance, Ern?
We definitely feel like we've got a chance. If we didn't, we wouldn't be coming out here battling day in and day out, but it feels good to be that, that close, and we're looking forward to taking them on.
All right, lots of luck tomorrow afternoon out here at Exhibition Stadium. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jay Baseball on TSN. The Blue Jays have 27 games remaining, 26 of them against Eastern Division clubs. Of course, they meet Minnesota out here tomorrow. It'll be Doyle Alexander going against Frank Viola. That should be a good one. But, Bobby, can the Blue Jays do it?
Well, they can, certainly. And Viola is one of the better young pitchers in the American League. You'll see a good game here tomorrow.
All right. And it's been our pleasure to be here on TSN today. So you're watching Labatt's Blue Jay Baseball on TSN. Blue Jays defeating Minnesota 12-4. The Jays putting 13 hits on the board, Minnesota 9. The winning pitcher, Dennis Lamp, and the loser was Mike Smithson. On behalf of Bobby Maddock, I'm Fergie Oliver, wishing everyone just a happy baseball season, okay? Let's hope those Blue Jays can do it. So long from Exhibition Stadium.